racing rides, people, and places. With your hosts, Brad Fanshaw, Matt D'Andria, and Aaron Hagar. New media for a new type of motorsport enthusiast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Shift and Steer. Welcome to the party, pals. It's that time of year. It's so apropos, you know. Welcome to the party, pal. You watch Die Hard this time of year, you know.
It's the best Christmas movie.
Yes, best Christmas movie.
I am such a Scrooge for holidays, all holidays. Just one title, Scrooge.
I'm not a big Christmas person.
To be honest with you, like I've kind of dwindled down over the years, and this year we're not going anywhere. We were stayed home for Thanksgiving. I made steaks, and we're staying in town for Christmas. Yeah. And also, it's like, I don't know why, but like I'm always the one that has to travel. Nobody ever comes here. Like everyone in my family, like I've always gone to them forever. I was like,
they don't want to come to sunny California.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Why not?
Yeah. Come on. What's the deal, man? You know what though? I have been for 25 years saying, why don't we just go to Hawaii for Christmas?
Yeah.
And can't get my wife to do it. You would think,
Brad,
a friend of ours, who's been on the show, I think, Bud Brutzman, producer, TV producer. I'm pretty sure he goes every year. Like him and his wife, and kid, like they just go to Hawaii every year.
But they book it for next year now.
Well, yeah, it's like honestly, for me, it's like going to see like every year I go to SEMA, I book the hotels 9 months in advance.
Yeah,
like as soon as they're available, I book them,
but I mean, it's like I've wanted to do that and just sit on the beach, and but nope, it's got to be relatives and all that, and
they're all welcome to go.
That's all you got to say, and all that.
Let me get some housekeeping out of the way. Our friends.
That's not how you spell believe.
It is now.
It is now, and you best believe it.
You're gonna get that code wrong every time.
Hey, Aaron, I love how you forget that we're on camera, and you get up, you're picking your nose, and
I blew my nose.
Follows you.
It was better than sitting with my nose running. Sorry.
Okay, let's get it right out of the way, because Aaron has been burning my phone down. He's been just like, oh, it's the best ever. I can't believe it. It speaks to me. It's, he goes, it's almost like they took the Jaguar campaign from my mind and the design of the car.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Facetious Brad.
Facetious?
Facetious Brad.
So first the Jaguar campaign comes out, and it doesn't have a car in it. It blew people away because everyone in the campaign was androgynous, and it was very much like, wait a minute, what's going on? They don't have any cars. And then now there was a sneak peek, but yesterday we got to see what the cars were all about. What did you guys think?
I'm not a fan of electric anyway, so I just
aside from electric, what do you think of the design?
Well, it's a concept design, so it's going to be radical, but I don't know. I must be getting old because I'm totally out of touch with this stuff. It just nah.
Matt, like I already kind of beat this horse to death on CarCast. So
it's a Jaguar. It's not a horse.
that listen to both the shows. I apologize. I don't mean to be redundant. So I'm going to give sort of the small, short version of kind of what we went into.
Then I'll beat it to death after you.
Then I want your opinions, because I feel like mine's happened on 3 different podcasts. But first of all, a month ago, no one was talking about Jaguar. They released that teaser video and everyone started talking about Jaguar. So like it or not, it got your attention. Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint, which goes away eventually, they nailed it in that they got people talking. Now, can they win you over with the product? And what I didn't know going into it, I talked about this with Alistair from Edmunds, as he said he had somebody there in Miami for the unveiling. Interesting looking car, better in person. But I thought Jaguar was going to reinvent themselves as like a Rolls Royce, make a $300,000 ultra luxury big sedan, and to have their bread and butter be the Land Rover side because they're Jaguar Land Rover one company, right?
Right.
Um, but that's not the case. This is I don't know, $130,000 car. So you're looking at Porsche Panamera, Mercedes, S-Class, BMW 7 Series. You have to sell 50,000 cars or more. You can't sell 8 or 9 or 10,000 cars like Rolls-Royce and be a profitable company. So that being said, all EV, the polarizing design, which I don't really hate. The interior didn't do anything for me. It really missed the mark as far as Jaguar. There was nothing. I know they keep saying copy nothing or whatever it was, or copy no one or whatever. I go, the interior looks like a Tesla. So felt like copy Tesla, maybe. um, I, I'd like to see more about that car, that super long nose of the car. Is that like a bunch of storage area? Like you think it could be battery, but won't you want the battery down low? So maybe it's got massive storage capability. There's no rear window. So, and it looks like it has some sort of hatch, like I think it's the Polestar 3 or something. It doesn't have a rear window, just a camera.
Yeah.
So probably just a rear view camera, maybe some sort of storage or something back there. But again, if this was $350,000 and it was like a Rolls Royce, you could do something, or Bentley, like you can have that back, which normally would be a window, like open up and have like your picnic table and your champagne flutes and like all the stuff that you see in the Rolls Royce or the Bentleys and
the umbrellas in the doors and
yeah. But I don't think it's that. So it's interesting because look, I'm a fan of Jaguar. I've been a fan of Jaguar.
Yeah, me too, big time.
And we can't just keep saying E-type for the rest of our lives. I like.
What do we have to say? E-type?
Yeah, right. And they needed to make a change. Now, I think they committed to this all EV directive a little prematurely, and we're seeing several companies backtrack on that. I don't think they have a choice. I think they're in it. They're in it for at least a number of years, 5 years minimum, before they could probably start reeling it back. Because whatever development and R&D and new platforms, electric motors and batteries, like they're so invested on this that they're going to have to commit to it for some amount of time. And maybe they can share some of that technology on the Land Rover side. Doesn't have to be all EV, maybe something hybrid, but it's interesting. I'm not quite sure who the audience is. It's a
confused.
Yeah.
Here's
that's my whatever 4 or 5 minutes on it.
Here's what I thought. I thought, I saw the ad and immediately there was uproar about, no cars, the theme of the ad and like that. And where I think, yes, the ball gets rolling, but sometimes these companies are large enough that they need to realize when to kind of eat what they already had in the can and maybe rethink it. Because like it or not, we're in a politically supercharged world at the moment. And we saw what happened to Bud Light. We saw what happened to some other companies. And we're seeing with this past election where much of America moved towards drastically. And they might have gone, it's not the car we have to change, but maybe our messaging. And they made such a radical departure all at one time. Logo, theme, imaging, everything. And it was quite dramatic. Then they came out with the car. And we hear the word bantied around quite often in the automotive world about DNA. And we know that a BMW is going to have those kidney bean shaped grills, no matter if they're giant or they're small or something. And, you know, everything has it. This was such a departure from a Jaguar that it didn't feel like it had any DNA of a Jaguar. Then this morning, someone came to light online, a journalist, and said, it had been bothering the hell out of me. I knew I'd seen this car before, you know, all their stuff about, and when he put up the photo, I went, son of a bitch, I knew I'd seen it too. The Cadillac 16 from like back in like 2006. The 16 cylinder Cadillac, and it is damn near the same car, man.
Wow.
I mean,
I'll have to look that up because it has that Crossfire vibe too.
And yeah, but this is almost, I mean, it was a big car, long nose, big wheels, big oversized wheels, everything about it. And no, it doesn't have that rear.
Oh my God, you know, totally.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, we brought up the car, the 6-wheel car from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Alistair brought up from Edmonds, he said that it looked like a Lincoln concept that they did years ago, not quite as on the nose as the Cadillac, but it was before that. And then it turns out, I think he said that the guy who designed that Lincoln concept is part of the design team.
There you go.
On Jaguar. So I
couldn't get a push through at Lincoln, so I went over here and.
Well, look, I mean, I like their initiative. The copy nothing thing was a little interesting because it's a car. It still has to copy something, you know?
I think it would have been awesome if they would have said copy nothing and then done the old, Emperor's New Clothes and just the curtains opened and it was just 4 wheels sitting there and they went, there you go. Yeah, it's translucent.
The Lincoln L100 concept is the one you're talking of. I believe. It looks very similar to that. It's a little bit more of a tapered back, but yeah, it's same thing. It's just that overly long, sleek, oddly proportioned.
Yeah, actually, that's the newer one. There was an
is there an older one?
That I don't recall.
I remember the car that I don't remember specifics, but I remember there was one. But it really is a modern interpretation of, in a way, if you look at the silhouettes of the cars of the 30s, where the driver sat out front and there was a second cowl, you know, dual cowl cars. They had those big wheels, that same kind of roof line and things on them. And it was, but I mean, hey, you hit it on the mark, Matt, with,
I'm thinking of the Lincoln.
What's that?
MK9, by the way. Go ahead and look that up while you're talking. Look at the Mark 9.
But nobody was talking about Jaguar.
Yeah.
They did get in the lexicon. Everybody's talking about them, good or bad. And what is the first mark of PR? It doesn't matter if they're talking about you positively or negatively, as long as they're talking about you.
Yeah. I get it. It's cheap. And for Jaguar always being such a classy company, I think the last few generations they've really missed the mark. And Matt from CarWow said something really interesting that kind of made sense. And Brad, it's very much along the lines of hey, you're talking about it. But he said, you know, hey, look, all these years they've been marketing to an audience that hasn't been buying Jaguar. So why not go to the opposite end of that, basically paraphrasing? Why not go to the opposite end of that and market to a whole different market that hasn't been buying Jaguar? And if it's like, okay, so you don't appeal to conservatives anymore, so you're going full on liberal. Yeah, it's interesting, but again, it's just a polarized world right now, and this is what we get, you know.
Honestly, if this car would have come out and they said it was $350,000 and it was the ultimate in luxury, and you attach the Jaguar name onto it, and they gave us a completely different interior, they gave us a Rolls-Royce Bentley interior,
right?
Not
hand stitched leather,
and just
it kind of makes sense,
and then nailed it. I would have been interested. I would have been like, obviously I can't afford a $130,000 version, can't afford a $350,000 version.
right.
But it would have been interesting to go, okay, Jaguar Land Rover now is like, we've got the Land Rover lineup. We've got a whole bunch of SUVs. We're going to have hybrids. We're going to have plug-in hybrids. We're going to have electric. And then we're going to have the pinnacle of luxury. We're going to have a high-end, you know, $400,000 Jaguar EV, 450-mile range, luxurious, smooth, you know, magic carpet ride like Rolls-Royce. And then from there, we might do a smaller version, like Rolls-Royce did with the Ghost or something, you know, and and then announce like there's bespoke versions, and the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas bought 10 of them, like that. But
Yeah, but
it's gonna be tough to
right
get
now we don't
going.
have you can't go after the Uber exclusive market that you're talking about. That car does not go after the traditionalist Jaguar buyer or even transition from somebody who owned an F-Type or a XJ now that wants to go to the next generation. And I don't see that body style going after the Tesla,
Yeah, no way.
any of those crowds.
Uh-uh.
It's like, yeah, they didn't copy anybody
Okay,
because there's
well,
nobody there to copy. There's no
look,
customer base.
Do you switch from a Lucid Air? Do you go from a Lucid Air to that? Mercedes EVs, the EQS or whatever the lineup is, not very successful. People didn't really like the design, very
Yeah.
aerodynamic but bubbly. But do you do a lateral move for 120 grand? Do you go from an electric?
Here's what I
Mercedes
see with that
to
market: the
Jag?
Lucid market, the Mercedes EV market. They don't seem to be car enthusiasts. They seem to be car buyers. So unless that car, when it's done, really trips their trigger for some reason, I think they're going to stick with what they have. You know, it's
It's interesting too, because if you look at the design, cues on it, it's I don't want to say similar to Land Rover, but their new Range Rovers are long, especially their long wheelbase are long. That profile is just overly smooth. It's tall, strangely proportioned to long. It's not skinny long. It's a thick long, and all the corners are rounded and tall tail lights, and they have a different design concept now, which is it's cool, but for vehicles of that size, it's just there's so much girth, and when you see them in person, okay, it may look better in person, but I don't know, but just look at the color and what they're going for in the marketing. They're, hey, we're polarized. There you go. We're talking about it.
And like everybody else, we're talking.
We're talking about it.
I'm
and
sorry,
just like we talked about in the
boring.
last episode, that an F-Type Jaguar right now, if you want to buy one on the used market, fully loaded, you can buy it for less than a Miata.
Oh no, I've been looking at them, dude. The F-Type Rs, I've been looking at them.
Yeah.
And they just went up about 10-15% from 3 weeks ago when I was looking at them. So
people are talking about Jaguar again.
I know, they're like, well, I'm going to get
tell
one
you
while
something
I can.
I'll tell you something funny
yeah.
is, we go to these press things and they always give you some little takeaway, and it's stuff sometimes that some things you go, wow, cool, I'm going to use this. But I had a couple Jaguar items. They were basically one of those little things to clean off like the screen in your car. You probably had one, Matt, and it came in a little leather case so it's basically just a folded up cloth with Jaguar imagery on it. And it was folded up in a little leather thing that said Jaguar, and it had the old logo on it. And I had them up on eBay forever. And the minute they changed their logo, they both sold. I had two of them. They both sold because people, it's like, oh, I want to have that. You can't get them anymore.
I heard it was the designer of the new logo that bought those from.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm back looking at a Aston Martin Vantage, which to me looks cooler anyway.
I tell you though, the F-Type, that supercharged V8, it sounds fantastic.
Oh, it does.
Really
it has a great exhaust.
car. Like if you think about the Shelby GT500, not the newest one with the paddle shift and whatever, but like you look at supercharged V8, all the rumble, all the exhaust, and go, okay, but I want sort of the refined British version. Rear
Well, the
wheel
Euro
drive,
version. Yeah.
supercharged, 8-cylinder, great note, great exhaust note, and
Yeah.
um, I like that. And gorgeous car. I think it's
It's a
I
good looking
agree.
car. It's fun to drive. It has
Yeah.
great seats in it. I mean, everything about it was really nice, and they're very affordable right now.
Yeah,
So
I'm really leaning hard on it. I'm waiting for a few things to materialize, but
yeah.
I'm really leaning hard on it. I think that's going to be our next.
are
I think
you
that's our next thing.
you've been working on that new project, right? The one where you've got a printing press in the back making money?
No, I've been working on the new project that I found a real Defender 90.
You told us about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
get
the
that?
NAS. So I found that for just a ridiculously low price. So I'm waiting for the old Mini to sell. I have my 1960 Mini for sale, as we talked about too. I'm waiting for that to sell, transfer some of those funds to get the Defenders, see if I can get that back on the road affordably, and then we probably won't keep Misha's new Defender that we bought her. So I have that financed, so we'll dump that, and then I'll take that payment and put it a much smaller payment into a nice used Jaguar F Type.
Sounds like a
Is
good
kind
defense plan.
yeah,
You know,
that's kind of the plan.
tell me about the new Defender. I've driven them, and but now that you guys have had it for a minute, sort of the long-term test results of the Defender. You said you had the two-door though, right?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have the 90 and the
Yeah.
P400. So I want to love it more. I really do. I'm a Land Rover guy. I always take Land Rover over anything else. We took it over the Bronco. We took it over a Toyota. We took it over anything else, even a Grenadier, which I'm still on the fence about. Uh, but I got to say, it falls short. My wife likes it, but she liked her Macan better. She's like, if I could do it again, I'd get another Macan. Hey, hands down, Macan, Porsche Macan, they're affordable. You go get a used Macan, worth every penny, even the servicing. It'll cost you $1,100 a year to service it. It'll cost you $2,000 every other year to service it. But I'll tell you, it's a great little car. They're fast. The finishing on them is tits. I mean, it's gorgeous. Oh, I can't say that anymore, can I? Sorry.
I haven't said that in forever. I forgot about it.
Well, I'm looking at my grandfather's watch right now. It just came to my head. Sorry. Good thing I don't say a couple other things that he used to say. Seriously, I'm looking at my grandfather's watch. No joke. But the Macan's great. But yeah, the Defender, to me, it drives big. It's got great power. We don't have the air suspension, so I don't know how that rides, but the ride really isn't that good. The handling is mediocre. The finishing work on the inside, it's cool and styling, like the Mini Coopers have been, but the finishing work isn't that great. We're seeing some tears and some strange wear. The materials are guess what they are, materials on the inside. We don't know if they're a foam or a plastic, urethane.
Yeah.
There's no leather in ours.
It's meant to be cleanable. It's
meant to be
a little
cleanable.
more Jeep-ish.
And it does, but Jeep finishes are predictable. Like you look at them and you know what they are and you know how to clean them. I've got a lot of cleaning stuff, and I'm a fanatic about detailing. I love it, but I'm having a hard time cleaning some of these things. I don't know if Pesto, when we were at the beach, if he had something in his mouth, that was acidic or a certain pH. And there was a little bit of slobber on the armrest. And I tried 4 different chemicals, starting with warm water and soap, to get it off. And 30% of the stain is still there. And I have no idea what it is. So what could be in his mouth that would stain it so badly? But
First of all, you should check Pesto's health.
Yeah. No, he's fine. Not on any medications. He's fine. Okay. But yeah, it's a good car. Servicing has been pretty expensive on it for what it is. Just because it's a Land Rover, you're paying Land Rover stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's any better or worse. There's a lot of them out there. Where we are, every other vehicle seems to be a Land Rover Defender 4-door. So there's nothing unique about it. And to make it unique, I'm like, okay, let's put our touch on it. you're just going down the road of plastic. There's nothing out there that's metal. I bought some running boards for it and side steps, and there's some metal, but it's pretty flimsy, cheap metal. And these running boards were not cheap. And the rest of it is plastic. And where it attaches is partially plastic. I don't know. Is it just modern cars? This is the first kind of new car we bought since a Macan.
Modern cars. You're used to older cars.
But we also went from a Porsche Macan, which was all leather and metal and just, aluminum and nice finishes, to a Defender. And the Defender actually cost more used than we paid for the Porsche. And the Porsche was a GTS. So I don't know. I like it, Matt. I want to like it more. Maybe it had too high of an expectation. Brad said at the last show, I am a real snob when it comes to cars, art, and music, because I kind of can be. We've experienced him enough, and we're kind of in the sleeve, in the pocket. But I have very high standards for cars, and I don't think this one passes. But again, it's not. If it was a V8 and had 700 and something horsepower, I'd probably be complaining a little less. But we cut the muffler off it and put a nice Magnafo system, and it doesn't sound good.
Did it sound better than it before, or not?
Well, it didn't sound like anything before, but now it makes grumbly noises. It pops, which just doesn't fit the character of the car, and you really hear the wastegate. Like it flutters and makes it's not pretty.
Yeah,
but
so,
we
do find with some of these newer cars that with all of the technology and things that they're doing, mostly for efficiency and
weight savings
and stuff, that there's just no way to make them sound good. So the car companies have no choice to just make them not sound pretty much at all.
Yeah,
make them as quiet as possible. And for most people, that's fine, right? I'd rather not hear it than hear something I don't like, right?
Yeah,
and it's in the performance world, the 6-cylinder Raptor, the twin turbo Raptor, that was a big complaint. Everyone's like, we've tried exhaust, we've tried everything, we can get it to sound a little better, but it just never really sounds right. You look at that big beast of a vehicle and it runs great,
I don't like the sound of them at all.
Yeah. Now the Raptor R with the V8 sounds phenomenal. It sounds like a GT500 underneath a truck. So it's
right.
And the TRX, to be honest with you, that thing sounds badass as well. It's just the supercharged 8-cylinder. I mean, you either got a red eye or you got a GT500 underneath in a truck. Yeah. But the 6, they could never really get it to sound right. And honestly, I of all the like modern day 4 GTs that have popped up, I don't see much in the world of aftermarket exhaust. I mean, I don't have a car, so maybe I'm missing it. Maybe Akrapovic or somebody's doing it, but I don't see like on Bring a Trailer. That's like
true, huh?
It's all got the modified exhaust, because I don't think people want to amplify the sound
on what kind of car?
The 4 GT.
Do you mean the sports car GT, not a Mustang GT?
Yeah, the new 4 GT that has.
Yeah, there are, because like on Michael's car,
that's the 8-cylinder.
That's the old one. That's the 8. He's talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the brand new version.
Yeah.
Yep. But I was going to say, on the older one, we had Borla do it, and I worked with them, and I mean, it's a tight package, man. Yeah. There's not much you can do in there.
Supercharged V8, like it's a compressed V8.
Right.
Like it's gonna, you can make it sound good, even in a tight package. But the twin turbo 6s, there was just issues. Like I can't say for sure on the GTs, but on the Raptors, it was one of the things that a lot of people complain about. Like, we just can't get it to sound the way we want it to sound.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, if we would have bought which we couldn't find one. Land Rover had a V8 version, but they wanted 120,000 for it used.
Yeah.
One just popped up, a white one just popped up in the trades recently in the classifieds for 80, and that would have been 20 more than we paid for ours. So I would have done that at the time.
Is it the 4-door, and does it have the air suspension?
It's a 2-door full optioned V8. Right.
The 2-door is a good looking car, but
it is a good looking
wheelbase of the 4-door is a little bit smoother ride.
Yeah, it is. But this V8 has a lot more leather. It has the air ride suspension. It has the adaptive cruise control. It has some of the other options which I would have wanted that this one didn't. But literally, we couldn't find another two-door. Land Rover had two of them, and they wanted $20,000 more for the same exact car and options. So it was just kind of silly. But there really hasn't been a lot of two-doors around for sale, at least when we bought this. So if it was the V8 with a few more options, I think the transition for me would have been a little easier. Yeah.
I don't see many of the two doors around it.
No, you don't. But Misha really likes this other Defender, and she asked if it can be mostly hers. Can we do 40-60% mine? And I'm like, honey, you can have it. It's fine. We named it Willow because it's willow green. So if that becomes her daily driver, we went for a ride in Squatch yesterday, and we're going to go to lunch after the show in it. And I'm letting her know, okay, the other one's, shorter wheelbase. It's going to ride a little more of a buckboard than this. It's like, just be prepared. You can lower the tire pressure, but it's still going to ride hard. And if she loves it, then we both agree we're not going to miss the Defender. They're great. I mean, I shouldn't say don't get me wrong, because I just totally, killed it. But if that's what you're into, it's a great car. I shouldn't complain, other than it just didn't quite live up to our standards from what we came down from. And it just doesn't have, I don't know, to me, it drives big. It makes me crazy. Misha's like, why do you keep saying that? I'm like, you loved driving a Hummer in downtown LA. Like, you're okay with it. I'm not. To me, it drives huge. Like, every time I park it, I'm like, do I have enough room? Do I have enough room? It drives huge to me.
Well, Brad and I,
although I drive a Mini Cooper, maybe that's
truck.
why.
Yeah, we drive big trucks, so everything is small.
Brad and I have big SUVs and pickup trucks, and
I hate them.
The truck. So, I have a full size F-150, which I lowered a little bit. It was more like a leveling kit in the rear instead of bringing the front up. I brought the rear down, just so I can get into more parking garages in LA. I just needed that other inch and a half of clearance. Well, but
the Fords are
driving big.
Yeah, the Fords are big inside. So, Brad, I think your Chevy doesn't feel quite as big inside as the Fords. I drove in my friend Colby's Raptor, and I'm like, damn, Colby, this thing is like, I can't touch your face. It feels like you're a mile away. And that's how it feels in the Defender to me. Everything is big. The seats are big, and the everything's spacious. It has a lot of room. If you want room and you want to go Euro, man, the Defender feels big. But yeah.
Euro room.
But Matt, your F-150, I bet, has that.
Hey, we gotta take a break and let our sponsors get a message in here. So we're gonna take a real quick break. Okay, we're back. See how quick that was?
One of the things that you mentioned was the Grenadier, and we saw them at the LA Auto Show, and whatever the new version is, it's like a pickup truck or something, whatever.
Oh yeah, which is a lot more than the regular one. Holy cow!
Again, there's just something kind of cool and charming about them. They didn't test well on the Edmonds test track when we got into that. It's like it didn't really stop. It didn't really handle. The steering was sloppy.
But other than that, it was fine.
And they're like, but there was something kind of charming, nostalgic about it.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Wanda about it, but Goldberg's wife Wanda bought one.
Oh, really?
And seems to really like it. I don't think he likes it that much, but he's like, whatever, it's hers. But also he's big, and that's a little kind of smaller inside. It's a little more, I don't know, feels a little more
like a Defender, like a real Defender. Like
Defender. G-Wagon maybe, but not like big. But she, fell in love with it, and she wanted one. They got one, and I'm now that she's had it a little while as well, I'm kind of curious to talk with her and say, now you've got some miles on it. But listen,
that's the ultimate compromise is the Grenadier. Like between the new Defender and being a classic Defender guy, Grenadier. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's cool, but because it's so new, it needs a little bit more time on the job.
Sure.
It needs a few refinements like on the handling and the braking,
Hmm.
right? That's pretty much it. If you can just dial in the steering, the braking, the handling a little bit more, and honestly, like the handling you could probably live with. You just want the braking and the steering to have a little bit more of a better feel and be overall just better. The braking distance on that thing was terrible.
So I have two friends that have them, and they're developing them. So one is okay 4-wheel drive back east, and the other is goose gear. So they both have them, and I believe one of the things they did was new suspension, and I think it Power Brake that does all the overlanding brake systems like for Jeeps, and I think it's Power Brake.
You're our overlanding expert.
I know, I know. I believe it's Power Brake. I met the owner. He said, "You know what you need?" I said, "The brakes are fine. Leave me alone." But I think it's Power Brake Company. But I know those are two upgrades that they're doing, especially when they're putting weight on them. So that's already been addressed a little bit in the aftermarket. But yeah, it's got a few shortcomings. But if you're coming from a classic Defender, there's nothing wrong with the Grenadier.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is for what they were going for, I think they hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
but if they
definitely.
want to expand the audience a little bit and go, hey, do you want something a little bit different around Orange County and Beverly Hills? Not just the overlanding,
Yeah.
guys.
The price point, they nailed it.
But I think they just want to improve those things a little bit.
Yeah.
And look, there's a number of ways they can do it. The next version can have it. It can roll out next year. It can be a retrofit or whatever. Who knows? It could just be
Yeah,
in the
I think,
aftermarket.
like you said, Aaron, it's a good right in between the old and the new. If you want one, drive around, cool. It's it's a cool thing. Hey, as we're talking about this, or having this show, I should say, this weekend, for those of you who are into hot rods and vintage drag racing,
Huh.
low riders, anything like that, the Moon Eyes Christmas Party. And what's special about this, it's Saturday, December 7th at Irwindale Raceway, which will be the last event at Irwindale Raceway.
Oh
As
man.
we know, it's being closed down so they can build some high density housing, which we need, really bad. And it's much better than having a drag strip and a oval track there. So, because who doesn't want to live between two gravel pits and a salvage area? So, it's
Well, at least there's not an airport nearby.
well, there might be. Who knows? But anyways, I'm going to go out there, walk around for a little bit, and if you're listening to this before December the 7th, 2024, check it out. The annual Christmas party. They do a really good. It's always a great show. I've gone out there many a times. They have bands, they have drag racing, they got vintage cars, cackle fest, everything happening.
What time? What time is the show?
The show is early. I mean, they open the gates at 5 a.m.
What?
and then it runs. Let's see, general admission at 9, and it runs till like 5 in the afternoon. So go out there.
9 to 5 workday.
It's, excuse me, 9 a.m. to 3 is general gates. Rain or shine. No colors, by the way. And car show and drag race limited to 72 and older model years. So I fall right into that category.
Hey, just don't wear your Santa suit because you're wearing red.
That's right. Hey,
that's funny they have to say that.
So I saw an article that I really had to read it a couple times and kind of soak it in because it applies to all three of us. And the article said, here was the headline: leaded gasoline, cause for anxiety, depression, and ADHD in many human people. Okay. I was like, no, wait a minute. first of all, the photo they showed was a guy at an Esso station, which later became Exxon, and he was changing the sign on the gas, and it said 24.9 was the price. And I thought, there's where the anxiety and depression comes from, is that we're not paying 25 cents a gallon anymore.
Right.
But it said, it went on in the article to say that that crime, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, ADHD, all these things are heavily caused by leaded gasoline. And they're talking like in children, in millennials, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They haven't had lead in gasoline since it was totally eliminated in the late 80s.
Brad, it's what we call a science-free article.
Yes, it was an absolute by 96. Its peak use was in the 60s. Okay. Now, what about you guys? I remember in the 60s, okay, I wasn't old enough to drive yet. So that was the first thing. But I remember putting like gasoline in the lawnmower, or maybe cleaning some parts with gasoline, which is what people did back then.
Or a little in your Cheerios.
Yeah, in your Cheerios. But first of all, if you're trying to do this blanket blame on leaded gasoline, there hasn't been lead in the gasoline in so many years that they're saying, and as we've seen since it's been eliminated, crime has dropped. I'm like, wow, is this a far-reaching article or what?
It's an article of the times, man. That is as cliche as it gets. And I don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, that growth on the side of your head is no problem at all. But I mean, you know what? Unless you were sitting there sniffing gasoline or using it to clean parts every day, I remember that now things have changed. Do you remember going to the gas station and putting gas in your car before they had all those things that suck the fumes back in, the dual hoses and all that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could actually see the vapor coming out.
Yeah, you could. You could see it. Yes, I forgot about that.
Why is my hand off?
But it actually was a good smell, too. It leaded gasoline, like ethyl had premium. It smelled so good. The only thing better than that is race gas. When you go, some guy's got race fuel in his car,
especially when it drives by you, you're like, ooh,
yeah, and you go, oh,
yeah, man,
oh, that smells good.
Paying the premium. But Brad, I have a complaint. What? I have a complaint. What about all these plastics and urethanes and stuff in our cars? That I don't know about you, but I clean the inside of my glass far more frequently now in a modern car than I ever have in a classic car. I think the classic cars, it's already outgassed, but okay, credit due. But I
had a conversation yesterday. I had my buddy Dave Zelzato here pinstriping a toolbox for me, and my great nephew, he's turning 7 this year, or he is 7. And I decided it was time for him to get his first real toolbox. So that's his Christmas present. And I had, and the kid, I mean, he is always building and working. He loves building stuff and stuff like that. So I figured, man, he needs a toolbox and some basic tools.
Yeah, you should give him an IKEA gift certificate.
Exactly. Hey, build my furniture for me, kid. But he and he's building stuff way over his age category. So I figured I needs toolbox. So I bought him a toolbox, and then I had Dave come over to letter on the top, pinstripe it and letter, and it says Oliver the Builder. And then I had him, I don't know if you saw the photo. I said, open the lid and put a couple bugs inside, because he doesn't like bugs. And I was like, plus, that's when you're 7 years old and your buddy comes over, you go, look at this, man. You open it up and
I got bugs painted in the top of my lid.
Yeah.
That was pretty cute, Brad. I saw that post too. It was pretty cute.
But we got off on a conversation about, because he was saying, yeah, man, I've been smelling these fumes for so many years and, doing this and doing that. And then we started talking about some of the guys that think of like Iskandarian. No, where he's like 102 and he can still tell you where stuff is. He's, and then, you think SoCal Speed Shop, of, your dog too?
No, Matt's got a couple dogs.
Matt's got dogs. That we're seeing dogs.
Pesto's over there snoring.
They're all of course, they're just sleeping. But I think there's a lot to be said about environment, but there's a lot to be said about just your body, because some people react totally different.
Yeah.
They can be around all the chemicals all around the stuff. You hear about guys all the time that, or, Bob Williams of Tennessee is turning 100 years old, and what's he say is his plan for longevity is? Well, he smokes a cigarette a day. He has, a fifth of whiskey, and you hear that. Stuff,
preservatives. I think I used to say that.
McDonald's every day.
I had those parents. They were pretty free range parents, but I didn't have a lot of sugar growing up and couldn't eat candy or things with preservatives. Which, get rid of the preservatives. Just buy it fresh every couple of days, But and I think my mom reminds me from time to time that she goes, "So how are those preservatives doing to your body? Do you feel preserved now? Are you good?" Because I guess the kids, I'm like, it'll preserve me if I eat it.
Hey man, in my house, if it wasn't slathered in butter and filled with salt, it wasn't a meal. And
right,
and I drink Coke and I drink my Rockstar and I drink all my stuff. And
my grandma used to put butter in our warm milk. Oh, have some butter in your warm milk before bed.
But so leaded gasoline, yay or nay? I guess we'll wait to see. Hey,
I don't know.
Did you see that car that's going up for sale? Speaking of Jaguars,
that one?
It's a Jaguar that is painted like a Union Jack.
Oh,
made famous in Austin Powers.
Yeah, Shaguar.
The Shaguar. It's a Shaguar.
It's up for sale, huh?
Going up for auction. They're expecting $1 million.
Oh, God. Must be a charity auction.
$1 million.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm waiting for the schedule on of Barrett Jackson to pick up the T-Bird. We can announce it now because Dad did the other day.
Talk about it now. Huh? Cool.
Awkwardly. Let's just hope there's pictures to prove it. If you saw the post, you know what I'm talking about.
The Montreux bird.
Yeah, the Montreux T-Bird. So I'm going to go over and just give a little detail, a little once over. I know there are people who are going to take real good care of that and do a full on show ready detail. But I just want to make sure everything's in order and there's no leaks from sitting around a little bit. But take it for a drive, put some fresh gas in it, air up the tires. Battery's good. I just checked that. I got some C-Tech maintenance on it right now, and it charged fully to 100%. So I know that's good. But yeah, I'll go through it a little bit and get it ready for its next owner. And
can you like before it's shipped away to Scottsdale, can you hide like some shift and steer stickers in between the cracks of the seat? And,
Brad, send me some and I'll make sure to find them and go home. I'm really excited about this car. You know, unlike Dad's LaFerrari, this car should be quite affordable. I'm hoping it goes for a little more than they do. One, it's a pretty fresh restoration, cosmetic restoration. Mechanically, it was pretty much solid. The gentleman who owned it before, after Ronnie, in between, took real good care of it and got a lot of things replaced. Dad finished that job and got everything the way it should be, but it's got a very expensive paint job, really expensive interior, and it's ready to go. And I'm really excited. I'm excited for a fan and car lover who loves the history of Dad and Montrose, and this car, to own it and drive it as it should be driven. It drives really nice. It is a boat, but it is a cushy, nice drive.
Does it drive big, Aaron? Does it drive big?
Does it drive big? Is it hard to park?
It drives kind of soft. Yeah, you know, a big hood like that, it drives as you would expect it to. I've driven it a few times, actually. I've driven it quite a few times. It drives nice. It drives like an old, 63, I think. Drives like a 63 T-Bird, man. It is lowered.
So humorous about it is those were considered sports cars in the day.
Oh, that I can't imagine. That I cannot imagine. It has no pickup. The brakes work conservatively, but not in a sports car atmosphere. Now, the thing about that car that we tried to do is we tried to upgrade brakes. We couldn't find. I talked to Bear. I talked to a few of our brake friends, and they're like, "There's nothing that's even close."
It has drums all the way around, doesn't it?
I believe so, but
there was
nothing they could do. We upgraded the springs just to a more modern spring and shock, but even that, it only improved it a little bit. It's a heavy car, but it drives really nice. It just drives like a '60s car. But it's not a retro mod, or
all the metal that you're missing on your Land Rover, your Range Rover.
It's all in that bird.
In there, man.
They could probably build 10 Land Rovers for the metal in that bird.
Exactly.
But anyway, I'm really excited to see what happens. Some of it is going to charity. Dad announced that it's going to go to
Aaron Hagar Foundation.
No, God.
Oh, no. I thought it was the Aaron Hagar Foundation for the restoration of Land Rovers.
No, it's going to suicide prevention, a charity for suicide.
Good.
Cool. Good stuff. So dad's doing a good thing, and he's going to perform, and they're going to do some Montrose tunes, and I think it's going to be very relevant. I think it's a good decision for that auction, especially in short notice. I hope it brings a lot more fans, and I hope they're there to rock out and at least bid something. It would be fun to see there's 300 bidders in the room, even if they're out after $20. It's like, just be one of those 300 bidders,
Yeah. No, it'll do well. Well.
Just get the story behind. I don't want to hear about the story about, I bid on that car. I only went to 200, but I bid on that car.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stand on the rail and I'll go, 1,000.
I'll bid to 1,000. Hey, Pop. Can I bid to 1,000? Or actually, hey, Craig, how much credit do I have here?
Yeah.
Do I have a line of credit?
The last thing that we have time for today is one other car that is going up for auction. RM is handling it. It's going to be selling in Germany, which it's from the Indianapolis Motorsport Museum, and this is a vintage Mercedes F1. This is one of those full fender F1 cars.
Oh, wow.
And it was a gift from Mercedes to the museum, way, 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 way back. And now it'll be the very first one ever offered for private sale. If you remember, we talked about it on the show a couple years back when Mercedes had one of these similar, and it sold through the Mercedes Foundation for $32 million. Wow. And they expect to get $55 million for this one.
Wow.
55.
I mean, I know we're out of time, but speaking of auctions, but Bernie Eccleston is
gorgeous.
Oh, I heard about this. I'm glad you brought it up. Yes.
Collection of Grand Prix and F1 cars and everything from Schumacher and Senna to everything you can imagine. It's just the best of everything. I think there's 69 cars in the collection, and that's going to be all. It's not going to be like an all one deal. It's not like one price for the whole collection because each car is pretty special.
Right.
It'll be one auction, but each car goes up individually.
How could a guy like Bernie Eccleston acquire all those cars? I mean, right. Yeah, I saw that.
So is this the number 16, 1954 Mercedes-Benz? Is this the one you're talking about?
The silver one?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's gorgeous car.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is something.
It's just, when you look at those cars though, you see the seat in it and you see the, the lap belt, and you just think these guys, the way they race those cars, man, they had balls of steel, So,
yeah, definitely. They didn't know what fear was.
But I got to say, that Mercedes right there is tits.
Yeah, yes, it is tips. It is tips. Yes.
All right, everybody, we're gonna call it a day. Guys, thank you. And you know what? I want to make sure that you. Hey, Matt, where can they buy Bravago for the holidays?
Oh, that's a good question. If you're in Southern California, we're in Total Wine and More locations, and all the stores are up on our website, or you can just order it online. Hurry up, order, get it.
Yeah,
get it now. It'll arrive soon. if you don't get it for Christmas, get some for New Year's because you're gonna want it for New Year's.
There you go.
That's a very good point.
In the words of my grandpa, you boys keep making those greenbacks.
Yeah,
there you go. And don't forget, if you've been following me on Instagram and like that, our holiday greeting card division is going strong, and you can find those exclusively on Etsy at Brad Art Basel. Just search that on Etsy, you will find. Man, we've been selling a lot of them. People like them.
What is an Art Basel?
Yes, that's Brad Art Basel. So everybody, go there, check it out. What do you got to promote? How about art?
I love it. I need to do an art post. I've got art for sale, but I haven't been posting because I'm currently painting it.
So cool. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Well, maybe we won't see you, but you'll see us.
Brad, you forgot. It's a promise, not a threat.
You're right. I did. See, I'm starting to lose my mind. It's from the leaded gasoline. Hey, everybody, we'll be back next week. That's a promise, not a threat.